Hey guys, Catherine here. So today's video is just going to be a casual conversation with you about this theory that empaths and narcissists attract one another because they suffer from the same childhood wound of inadequacy or abandonment. So the theory goes that they both suffer from the same wound and therefore they attract each other. Therefore, empaths or people who claim to be empaths are actually just suffering from a wound and haven't healed it. I personally don't resonate with this information, and so this is what this video is going to attempt to explain. I wanted to meditate on the information because when something doesn't resonate with me, it's one of two things. Either it's a trigger for me and it's something that I have yet to address subconsciously within myself, and therefore I need to heal that part, and that's why it's triggering me, or the information just is not correct. Okay, so either way, I'm fine because it's a win-win for me. I get to learn about myself, or I get to learn a little bit more about a certain subject. So it's totally fine. I don't care whether I'm right or wrong. What I care about is the truth. And besides, I don't think anybody who presents this information is trying to really be right or wrong. I think they're just trying to help, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. So this is not meant to be an attack on anyone, but it just didn't resonate. And so I just wanted to get to the bottom of why it didn't resonate for me. So if you're someone who likes that theory and it's helping you, then great. Use it and just roll with it. If you're someone who has heard that information and it doesn't resonate, then I may be able to explain why. By the way, my name is Catherine. I'm a nurse practitioner and a spiritual coach and energy healer. If you want to work with me, you can go to my website at catherineglassman.com, or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. Okay, so what I think is actually happening is I believe that empaths and codependency are being used interchangeably, which is not correct. Empaths are, in my opinion, people who have a heightened sense of clairsentience. Okay. In a previous video, I talked about psychic senses. Okay. We have our 5 physical senses: sight, touch, taste, hear, and smell. And then we also have psychic senses, which are the same, except those senses pick up on spiritual matters. And then you have an extra sense, which is an intuitive knowing. So we have clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairgustance, and claircognizance. Clairsentience is the psychic sense to feel energy. So somebody with this heightened sense can stand next to someone and not say a single word to them and just know what they're feeling. Or they can go into a crowded room and just sense the tension, if there is any, or just the general dynamic. They're going to be someone who, if they're in pain, if someone else is in pain, they're going to feel their pain. An empath is just a nickname for someone who has a heightened sense of clairsentience. Which, by the way, we all have these psychic senses. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to acknowledge that and if you want to work on heightening those senses. I think that a lot of empaths have a heightened sense of clairsentience, but they just don't realize that that's what's happening. So in this theory, empaths and narcissists attract one another, which I believe that empaths, or someone with a heightened sense of clairsentience, is going to attract everybody because they are able to truly feel what others are feeling. So they tend to just be attractive people, especially when it's someone that needs advice. When people need an emotional connection, they'll always be driven to the empath because the empath will always know how you feel. They always tend to give really good advice. They always tend to be people that just attract people who will divulge all of their life's problems, like personal things they will just tell to an empath. This is also the reason why they attract narcissists, because narcissists tend to lack empathy, and narcissists, they tend to use other people and manipulate other people in order to have their emotional needs met. Now, the interesting part is that empaths, if they just attract everyone, then they also attract the narcissist It is only if the empath also suffers from codependency will the empath then choose to be with the narcissist. This is because codependent people tend to get value and self-worth from taking care of other people or saving other people. It's like a savior syndrome. So it's not the empath and the narcissist that suffer from the same wound, it's the codependent and the narcissist that suffers from the same wound. And the fact that we're even calling it a wound proves even further that that's not the case for an empath, because if an empath just has a heightened sense of clairsentience, which is just a natural psychic sense, that is not something that needs to be healed. Whereas codependency, where you get your self-worth from just draining your energy into somebody else, that is from a wound. That term is actually coined from Alcoholics Anonymous to describe somebody who basically just enabled an alcoholic in order to maintain the relationship. If two siblings were born in the same family, one parent was a narcissist or an alcoholic, they would have two different experiences, and therefore they could potentially just turn into two very different people. One child can turn into a narcissist while the other one can turn into a codependent. The narcissist was not having their emotional needs met and therefore went a little bit more inward and use other people to have their needs met. Whereas a codependent will kind of just focus in on the threat or whoever is making the relationship unstable and just try to give them whatever they want to make them happy so that everything can go back to normal. If an empath is just a heightened sense of psychic feeling, then if a clairsentient person were to be dropped into the same family, they are more likely going to become the codependent sibling rather than the narcissist, because codependency needs more empathy, whereas the narcissist is lacking empathy. So I think that's the reason why it's so easy to confuse the two and say that empaths and narcissists attract one another, when really I just don't think that's correct. It's actually codependency. So once again, if an empath is finding that seems to be their case, that they're constantly in relationships with narcissists, then you might want to look into codependency work. And I would argue that if you heal the codependency aspect, that the clairsentience will not only remain, but it will become stronger, and you will no longer be attracted to narcissists. You will continue to attract them because you're just going to attract everybody, but you will not choose those relationships anymore. Instead, you'll end up choosing partners that are healthy, have a high emotional intelligence, because you want your energy to be content, neutral for the most part, and happy most of the time. So you're going to choose to be around people that have that kind of energy. But it is only if you are codependent that you will be attracted to people that have problems, because it's a savior complex and you want to fix those problems. What makes it even more confusing is that learning that you have a heightened sense of clairsentience and trying to differentiate between your own emotions and other people's emotions, that basically is the process of individuation, or just being able to have your own sense of self. Doing that kind of work looks very similar to codependency work. So I think that's why they're used interchangeably. But the work is actually very different. Being an empath and walking into a crowded space, you are learning to protect your energy. And that usually, in my opinion, is going to be on a more metaphysical level. So for me personally, I'm saging myself all the time, and I'm putting white light around myself. I'm energetically protecting myself. I'm consciously choosing the kind of conversations that I'm having. I'm consciously choosing what it is that I'm exposing myself to or what I'm watching. Codependency work looks more like empowerment and a heightened sense of self-worth, understanding what it is that you truly deserve and really believing that, and just allowing for others to fall when it is appropriate. Because sometimes, most of the time, it is not our place to fix other people, because that is their journey. And when you're constantly saving someone, you're not allowing them to fully live out their journey, and therefore you're not allowing them to fulfill their karma. If anything, you will create more karma for yourself if you're constantly interrupting someone's path by trying to save them. And it just proves even further that there might be some work that needs to be done within yourself, because again, it's just an outpour of energy when really it should be more about self-help. Because if everyone just took the time to truly work on themselves, we would get so much further than trying to focus on somebody else, because you can't control other people's emotions, you can't control their choices, and you certainly can't control how people really treat you. You can only teach them how you want to be treated. And if they don't fulfill those needs, then you have to make the decision to walk away. So just to recap, if you are someone who identifies as an empath, but you also find yourself in relationships with narcissists frequently, then it will be good to explore healing codependency. If you do the codependency work, you will know that you've completed the work if you no longer are attracted to narcissists. You will continue to attract them because you will attract everybody, but you will no longer choose the savior model, and rather you will have better boundaries and fulfill your own needs. Simultaneously, you will continue to remain an empath because it's not a wound to be healed, and you will just learn to differentiate your energy from other people. You'll learn to not take on the energy of other people, and you're certainly not going to fix it if it's not appropriate. Once you have mastered the two, then you can definitely use the clairsentience to your advantage. And when somebody comes seeking your help, and if you want to help them, then you can tap into their energy and kind of get a feel of what's going on, but with the understanding that it's not your energy. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say. If you have any questions, or let me know if this information resonates. It certainly resonates for me. So if you like the video, please like it and consider subscribing. Share it with somebody who might need it, because I feel like I needed the information myself. But anyway, I'll just see you guys later. Bye.